everything that's gone wrong for them since this whole thing started. I don't see how they can continue with it anymore. Especially, we're starting to see the restrictions let up. I know, Charlie, you think that they're going to go harder. I don't know. I think they may switch it up to something else, maybe climate change or alien invasion. Who knows? I don't see the COVID being sustainable for them anymore, and I don't see people falling for the fuckery. It's just hard to tell how many people are actually falling for the fuckery now.
Yeah, I think what we're going to probably see is, if you saw the Project Veritas thing where they did an undercover expose of CNN, and they had one of the producers on hidden camera talking about it, and he was talking about Biden and everything, and he goes, "Yeah, we're really kind of, we're off of Biden now. We're really just going to be focusing on climate change," and so, I mean, I think if for anyone that's unclear, and I know your audience knows this, but climate change is horse shit. It is 100% about a carbon tax. And so what I think we'll see is them blending this COVID lifestyle, germ lifestyle, with environmental sustainability pushes and things like that in the name of climate change. So I think they're going to, and sounds laughable and totally dumb, but I think you're going to see them try to blend coronavirus, COVID, and climate change together, because it's part of their two agendas. And it will be remarkably obvious and stupid and laughable for all of us watching it. And yet everybody else will fall right in line and start talking about how we've got to wash our hands and social distance to save the carbon.
It is so funny that you just said that. It is hilarious that you just said that, because I just so happen to have a couple screens I want to share really quickly that are exactly, can you enable screen share? There's a couple things I want to show you that are just like exactly what you're talking about.
All right. Well, good. I'm lucky guest then.
So here's the first one. This came out in March. Report: the world needs the equivalent of pandemic lockdowns every 2 years to meet Paris carbon emissions goals.
They can't help themselves. They have to blend these agendas. They're too stupid to make any of them work. So they take a little bit of fear from Corona, and they take a little bit of fear from climate change, and they try and blend them together. They're so stupid. Oh my God.
And then this is just from this past week, Laura Ingraham angle on climate lockdowns. And she said they're coming, and I'm not a Fox News guy at all, but even a broken clock is right twice a day. So yeah, pretty fascinating stuff.
Here's my take on it, and I've looked into this in the past, and I've had plenty of. Can you mute, Cory? And I've had plenty of researchers that are looking into what's really behind the whole climate change thing. And it's not us, it's not our emissions, it's not our fault, but there are some things cosmically that are happening that we cannot control at all. We have a solar minimum occurring with the sun, which will have effects on our planet. And according to, I've had Ben Davidson on the show the other day. I'm not sure if you know who he is. He's from Suspicious Observers, the Solar Observatory Project, really reputable space weather guy. And he was telling me that we may see a possible really bad event, maybe even extinction level to some degree within the next few years that these fuckers may know about, to help push this climate change agenda, saying, oh yeah, it's, to help them push it along so they can say it's us causing it. But really we have no control over it. It's the sun and the solar system causing it. Mm-hmm. And we could be really in for some crazy things to come, but they're going to push it as climate change and our fault, which it could be a huge possibility according to some of these scientists and researchers that I've interviewed and some of the stuff that I've looked at in the past. So that could be something that we're seeing, but it could be real, there could be really some terrifying shit coming up,
And Cliff High thinks that we're going to have a mini ice age. So
yeah, that's part of it as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the question is, do they know something we don't know? I think that is fair to assume that they do. I think that the climate thing for them is about it's about two things. It's about control, always about control, controlling us, controlling our movements, limiting what we can do, coming up with some new excuse as to why we can, have to do what they tell us to do. And then it's about taxing that as through the carbon tax. And this is what they wrote about in the Club of Rome in 1971 in their book called The Limits to Growth. They wrote about how I created the idea of global warming. It's later been rebranded as climate change to be more ambiguous, but the global warming concept, they decided that they were creating it and that they were going to use the threat of this global warming as the pretext to implement a carbon tax. And then that carbon tax is going to be used to fund, they're going to use this as the funding mechanism to create a one world government. They write it. That's what it says in their writings. They talk about how they're going to do it. And this is David Rockefeller and this is Dr. Alexander King that are doing this. And that's a guy that started NATO and started the Committee of 300. I mean, these are dangerous individuals. And they wrote about this whole thing. And so the carbon tax is the funding mechanism for the new world order, for the Davos crowd, for all these people. It's so important to them that we're going to hear about it forever. We're never going to, for the rest of our lives, we're going to hear about climate change. And it's because we have to, because it's their monetary system moving forward. They've done as much as they can from oil, but moving forward, they're going to collect carbon taxes, because.
Do you think they could try to do that to the individual?
Yeah. Through a social credit system where they're tracking everybody and they go, you exceeded your allotment. We got to tax you this much, and they'll make you feel bad about it. Like, you're killing the planet. How dare you? You've got to live in this micro apartment and you've got to eat the bugs. You have to eat the bugs because we can't have cattle because that's too many carbon credits and you can't have that. So you have to eat the bugs. This is where they want us to go. And they'll guilt us into it by just saying you're being bad, you're killing the planet. None of it's true. It's just it's just going to be a gigantic lie, but it's just going to be so ubiquitous that it'll eventually, you'll be like, am I killing the planet? You just will succumb to it. I think that's what they're going to do. I think the tail end of our lives will be nothing but climate change hysteria and this never-ending admonishment for being a human being, and just they're just trying that, and I dread it, man. It's fucking psychotic.
I knew they were up to something when they banned smoking in malls.